So, welcome to the last panel of the day on day 2 of Graph Expo, Succeeding with Substrates, but the new roll of paper. Get it? Roll of paper, the new roll of paper. Get it? No? You get it? Yes? Okay. Yay, you got it. Yay. Certainly it's the last panel, but certainly not least, because quite frankly, substrates are very topical in the industry right now. So let's start off by everybody's going to briefly explain a little bit about what they do, who you are, and about the substrate conversations you're having with people at Graph Expo. So let's start with Cannon. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm John Crumball, and I'm responsible for the overall paper program for inkjet for Canon Solutions America, based out of Boca Raton. And my main role really is very simple, is to make sure that our customers have the largest number of paper choices available to them across all the different mills. So it's really all about choice and success with inkjet.
Thanks so much. Xerox.
Hi, thank you. I'm Adam Missel with Domtar. I'm here with Xerox, and I'm a solutions product manager, but I'm actually a paper engineer, I like to say. So I work a lot hand in hand with Xerox, bringing a lot of these paper solutions to market. And you know, it's interesting. You asked about what type of conversations we're having, and I can kind of divide them in half. We have a lot about productivity and customers who need to save pennies or tenths of a cent and find productive ways to do business. And then I have customers that want to talk about high profit applications in those marketing applications. And in both areas, I'm seeing more and more people come to us for that.
Thanks so much. GPA in the house.
Here we go. Good afternoon. Craig Surrett, GPA Specialty Substrates. I'm the director for the toner fusion market. And just building on comments from earlier, my responsibilities are for the substrates, certainly in the dry toner market. But the conversations that we're having here really go cross-platform. What I think is interesting is that those needs are not particular to the Xerox family or Canon. They're crossing over to HP Indigo. They're going to wide format. They're going to conventional. You know, it's really interesting to see that it's not just, as Adam touched on, it's not just trying to drive pennies down. It's really about looking at value-add substrates, value-add applications, what the market is trending towards. And so the conversations that we're having are really about what's innovative, what's new, but what's driving productivity, what's innovative, what's eye-appealing. And we look forward to sharing and talking about that later on today's panel.
Thanks so much. ADFOS, which is kind of weird that you're on this panel, but not really, because we know why. But go ahead.
Because I am weird, that's why.
Yes.
My name is John Palazzolo, and I'm Director of Marketing and Sales for ADFOS North America. What ADFOS does is, in the conversations that we're having with our customers, relate to they're wanting to do more, primarily with their inkjet presses, and they're wanting to use more substrates, greater substrate widths, and again, for the different applications that they're wanting to do. They're wanting to use either a lower cost paper or a higher gloss paper. And how we enable that is by using our near infrared drying technology, we can allow customers to either use a lower cost substrate or a higher gloss substrate in their inkjet presses. Also, too, we use our technology for pre-coat solutions. So some customers are wanting to buy maybe a commodity grade paper and do their own coating of the paper in line. And we actually enable that by using our drying technology to coat the coatings on the paper.
Thanks so much. And everybody, first-time Alliance member RMGT, everybody give them a round of applause for joining the Alliance this year. Awesome. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Kyan Hemman. I'm the Western Regional Sales Manager for RMGT. This week so far, we've been having a lot of conversations about what else our LED technology on an offset press can do for people. The ability to cure instantly on plastics, styrenes, clear material, label stock, with a very low cost of make ready, with quick make readies, quick to color, being able to compete in the digital market with an offset press.
Thanks so much. And last but certainly not least, our oldest Alliance member, Fastbond. Not by chronologically, I just mean, you know what I mean. You old bastard. Sorry.
Thank you, Deborah. My name is Kent Alzel. I'm the president of Fastbind USA. The reason I think I was asked to be on the panel today is we get 90% of the time we're asked which papers can use the binding method that I purchased? What other kind of binding methods do I need to use these other substrates that some of these companies are making? And the range of papers that are available today is incredible, and the choices that the customers have. But we're still stuck with some older type of binding technologies or glues or staples that we have to use to get those things to stay in the books. And that's what we're here on the panel today, is try to help anyone who has questions about how to use those papers in the binding environment.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, so in the color management, the color panel we just had prior to this, I mentioned that I describe paper as a technology. So how does your company view paper as a technology, if it does, and what value are you adding to it with your products and services? Let's start with Canon.
So, Deborah, it is definitely a technology in our view, and it's both an old technology, but a rapidly growing and expanding technology. It's actually really exciting. Paper, we look at it as, it's just another sheet of paper, but from the inkjet standpoint, it's way more than a sheet of paper. It's what our end user sells, and with the inkjet technology, some things have had to change. With the treated papers, the inkjet coated papers, things like the color grip technology we have on our i300, it's allowing a larger, more democratic group of papers to be used. So very much it is a technology. What we're adding as far as value, our whole point of our paper program and what we do is make sure our customers have lots of choices of paper. Everything from coated papers, uncoated, lightweight book papers where they're, certain PPI is important to them. We have to cover all markets at Canon because our inkjet technology is relevant both, in the traditional transactional world where inkjet started, but also where inkjet's heading. So commercial printing, book printing, all that's creating a new demand for paper. The paper mills are responding to this. It's almost an arms race with new products coming to market all the time. What we do is we work with our paper mills. They're very highly valued partners of ours to make sure, and there's some here in the audience, but the point is we want to make sure that we're working with them to let them know what our customers need. So when they're going through their R&D and their development cycles, they're building products that are relevant to our customers, which also helps them as well. So it's very much a synergistic way of looking at paper that we have at Canon. And our paper partners, they do a great job for us. And in doing that, they're also doing a great job for our customers. So it is a technology. It's rapidly evolving. Really anything that you know about inkjet papers from last year, a lot of that's changed. It's changing that fast that staying on top of it is difficult for our customers. So both using our partners, things like the Think Conference, where our customers can speak to other customers, all those things are brought together so that knowledge transfer of that new technology takes place. With any new technology, staying on top of it is just as important as that next new thing. So,
sorry about that. Thanks. Xerox.
Well, first of all, I love the answer where you say it is a technology. I have to agree, but also from a personal perspective, I'm a paper engineer, so thank you for that. I do appreciate it. And I know most of you are probably looking at me.
I think I said it first, just so you know.
Well, I appreciate that as well.
That's okay. Give Canon all the credit. It's fine.
That's fine. You didn't know that was a career option, though, did you?
No.
Paper engineer, right? So, and I think it's becoming very important as we look at those two things I mentioned a moment ago. When we look at productivity, either in the inkjet world and transactional markets, or if we're looking at a conventional cut sheet, those abilities to go in and manufacture a paper specifically to run on that print technology, but not only for there, but also to engineer the total solution, to engineer the product to run through whatever post-processing equipment is required by that operation. That's what delivers the productivity to the customer that can hit the price point that they need. And then I mentioned on the other side, as we talk about high value added products, well, we've reached a capability now where we're able to engineer synthetics and heavy folding boards. We're running products through these printers that are actually not one media, but a combination of media. And that's what you don't want to happen, the thunderstorm that you hear going through right now when you run those stocks through those printers, right? So as a paper engineer, the obvious answer is yes, there's a technology there, but I would also share from my personal perspective, it's a great time to be a paper engineer involved in the digital print world because the options are much greater than they've ever been.
Cool. And we have a paper company here too. So GPA, I'm guessing you view paper as a technology.
We absolutely look at paper as a technology. GPA is a wholly owned subsidiary of Fedrigoni out of Italy. And so, yeah, absolutely, we look at it as a technology. So with the look at the market, building on what Adam was saying, I think today there's more choice than ever before. Choice for what? Choice for technology to start off with. And I think that increasingly so, we've got papers that have been optimized depending on which of the systems you're going to use, whether it's offset, whether it's dry toner, whether it's HP Indigo, whether it's inkjet. And today it's very true that to get maximum benefit for your system, you've got to make sure you're using the right substrate that can maximize the press itself. But building on, I think there's more to it. I think today on the topic of choice, I think there's never been more aesthetics, more options, more choice. There's a whole discussion going on right now about technologies like Scodex and what they're doing, which is great technology with effects, right? And what they're able to do. But look at the substrate. Look at its key role in being able to achieve the effects that you're looking for. The bling, the eye appeal that the market is now demanding, and it's getting increasingly competitive. And so it's important to choose that correctly. So tying it back into process. Yes, paper is a process and a science, but increasingly with that technology, it's now optimizing and aiming that technology for the right press to achieve an outcome. And in doing so, I think you're going to have a lot of great products and growth in the marketplace. That would be our perspective at GPA and Fedrigoni.
Thanks so much. John, Adfos.
So yes, I agree that paper is a technology. I was just thinking, and I was going to mention, some of the oldest professions, but we won't go into that. But when you look at paper and the manufacturing of paper, probably the first manufacturing process in any volume was probably paper. And when you look at the paper, and especially as you were saying about the different technologies, whether you're using traditional offset or whether you're using inkjet, the different digital technologies that are out there, all of them react and act very, very differently. So there's a lot of technology that goes into the paper side. And where Adfos fits into that is by, again, customers are constantly coming to us and saying, with our technology, we're wanting to have maybe a lower cost substrate, or we're wanting a higher gloss substrate. We're wanting to get a better visual gamut. We're wanting to we want flatter sheets. And a lot of times, particularly with water-based inkjet, which is where we really excel, you're putting a lot of water on paper. And what happens when you put a lot of water on paper? Remember, you were a little kid, right? You dropped your book, and then it fell into the puddle, and then when it finally dried out, your book kind of looked something like this. Water and paper do not match. So we got to get that paper or that water off of that paper very, very quickly so the customers can have nice flat sheets that then they run through their finishing lines and all of the processes, their binding operations, and run smoothly. So that's where we kind of enable in that process.
Thanks so much. RMGT.
Thank you. Absolutely agree. I think our position today is we're trying to make it fun. People are finding these substrates, starting to use them digitally, but then when it comes to the offset side, there may be challenges with offset or dot gain or absorption. With the LED instant cure technology, it makes that a lot easier. It also allows a commercial printer to maybe start doing some things more towards the packaging realm that would definitely be a challenge otherwise.
Thanks. And Kent, Fastbind?
Thank you. I'll have to defer to my colleagues here on the technology use of paper since we don't make any paper, but it is good that we have these experts because there are so many choices now, and that's the real difficult part for the end user. There's so many kinds of paper, so many substrates to choose from, which ones to use for each application. You need to lean on these experts now. It's not simply the guy delivers a pallet of paper, you print on it and you sell it. It's a very complex environment, so we're lucky to have these people that know what they're doing, that can tell you which papers to use. We need that kind of support because we need to be able to produce great products. Right. And we do have different kinds of industries now. You use your school yearbooks, and you've got photo books, and they use drastically different types of paper. So it's important to have resources to go out and ask to find out what substrates you should use, what price points they're at, and how to use them. And then people like me can get out there and make the finished products for these
Right.
clients.
And I do have specific finishing questions for you, so it won't all be
Yay.
a little out of your wheelhouse. But you just touched upon actually my next question. And because you are a finisher, you can abstain if you want. We won't hold it against you. Understanding how paper will react with ink and finishing is a major component, or should be, when picking or recommending a stock. How are you contributing to the conversation with printers, and how do you help end users, designers, and buyers make the best paper choice for their executions, for their work? Let's start with Canon, because you're here.
Good to be here. Around finishing and with any of the inkjet technologies, clearly the paper, like you said, it's a technology. There's so many choices, but there's also so many different types of finishing equipment available in the marketplace. So the way we do it at Canon is we have a very extensive paper testing laboratory in Boca Raton, in Venlo in the Netherlands, and also over in Germany, depending on the products that we're testing on. And there we can do, some fraction of what's available as far as the finishing industry goes. But more importantly, just like we do with our paper partners, we have a very extensive list of finishing partners. Like here at Craft Expo, we have the Canon printed output being finished with TechNow, Borg, and Standard, where they actually are doing the testing as well in cooperation with us, and we have practically daily conversations with them, with a counterpart that handles finishing like I handle paper, to make sure that we're offering the right things to our customers. And then we work with customers who have older legacy finishing equipment. Lots of people have moved into inkjet that they didn't buy inkjet specific finishing. They have to work with what they have. So the way we do that is we work very closely with the customers on a one-on-one basis, where we may have to give them a recommendation to be more successful with the finishing line.
Thanks so much. Xerox.
So there's really two parts from an engineering perspective, and one is kind of the stock applications or the stock technologies. And so here I'm referring to customers who are buying some of the presses, either inkjet or dry toner technologies that are offered, and also even flowing into some of the post-processing technologies. So the beauty there is, as we engineer these products that are on Xerox's recommended media list, it's really a guaranteed media list. It means that we've had the ability to go in, understand the technology from a paper engineering perspective of how are we transferring toner, how are we moving sheets throughout the equipment, what are the chemical compositions of these things, and how do I make a paper that runs optimally in that equipment. And that's what we're able to deliver. The second part is, we of course have lots of customers who are on the cutting edge. They want to do something unique. They have, as you mentioned, older converting equipment or sometimes newer converting equipment. And I really think there's no replacement for going in and understanding a customer's full application and having the opportunity to test a product throughout the entire manufacturing cycle.
Thanks. GPA.
Building on what the points were earlier, it's exactly right. I think the first stop that you want to look at is where the manufacturers of the paper are working with the original equipment manufacturers, the leading brands and the printers, and making sure that they're going through the right amount of testing to be on the RML, as Adam said. I think as well, because there's so many new products coming to market, I think it's true that that there's other places that are now important to look at. There's a lot of outreach to education, like Arizona State University, Clemson University. RIT has some excellent programs to help in creating a basis of knowledge that can then be shared in the marketplace with printers. So I think there's, the one thing is just to have these databases available. I think they're very helpful for printers, and disseminating that information is really key. I think the other part is bridging the market with the knowledge. We're in print, so that means that printers are going to be pushing the envelope all the time, and guess what? Sometimes the tech reps are the last to know. Go figure, right? They're well-intended, they're trained very, very well, but they can't keep up. As the manufacturer of paper, we have a hard time keeping up with all of the changes. So being able to bring some technical resources into the marketplace with key customers on important applications. That's going to help bridge the, I'm not going to call it theoretical, let's say it's the body of knowledge of all the testing and all the background, but from cradle to grave, you're really going to have access to technical resources that can work with the OEM techs and bring in how the papers are going to run optimally, because guess what? We're in the world of print, and that means that things can go sideways from time to time, and you need some TLC. You've got to be working with partners that can bring those resources and be available. It doesn't mean that they physically have to be there all of the time, because guess what? There's finite resources, but at the same time, being able to reach for those technical resources by click, by phone, by whatever, time is of the essence, so you really do have to have that technical resource to bridge printer with media to get the job done, because you need uptime, not downtime. So it's all of that. It's everything that was mentioned. It's the RML, it's the testing, it's that body of work, but it's also that last step. You really need to work with partners that can support you in the marketplace with technical resources.
Thanks. John? Adfos, excuse me.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like you were saying there, cradle to grave, end to end. Adfos has a kind of a different position because we work very closely. In the beginning of our business, some 25 years ago, people were taking inkjet heads, and they're still doing it today, on their traditional printing equipment, offset, and they're adding, the variable components to it. So they're coming from, well, we have this offset paper and it works on our offset press. Oh, now I want to put inkjet on it. Oh, now I want to go ahead and do inline finishing on that.
Right.
So it's all of these things coming together, and exactly what you said, working not only with the, from the paper side, but also working from the ink side, working with the ink suppliers, the ink vendors, because at the end of the day, it's ink on paper. Is it offset ink? Is it toner? Is it, what is it? And then also working again with the finishing partners, whoever that would be, the Fast Binds, the Tech Nows, the Man Rollins, whoever's doing the finishing. And so really having a broad breadth of technical experience to work literally from end to end.
Right. RMGT.
You might as well not print it if you can't finish it. It was mentioned earlier that water is not paper's friend. I think the next thing is heat. Heat is also not friendly, especially now that we're seeing more and more variable substrates. It's hard to get, not to get cracking, get good adhesion, not to have the sheet curl up so much that you can't put it back through the press or through the folder or anything else with it. With our, zero heat LED system, you're not putting any unneeded heat on that sheet, distorting it, making it stretch. That's really where we're seeing that our customers are having more success with this technology, and not only cutting the cost on the printing side, but also reducing the amount of sheets that they need in the finishing aspect of it.
Thanks so much. I'm actually going to change the question specifically for Fastbind, and actually Adfos too. But we'll start with Fastbind. Do you need to adapt your equipment to new substrates and printing technology? And if so, how fast does this need to happen?
That's a terrific question, and the answer is absolutely. The customers are quick to take advantage of these new substrates that they're available, whether it's by cost or by the quality of printing's better or new things that they can deliver. And we have to either adapt the existing technologies that we have or come out with new ones. We've recently developed a short-run PUR binder that allows us to switch between the traditional EVA glues and PUR glues just for that exact reason. If you own a press, the only way to get a better image is to get better substrates. Okay, you can't tune it, you can't add something to it to make it better, but you change the paper. But that dramatically changes the ability for a binding machine to bind that substrate. So you have to adapt. It's not simply easy to bring a new machine to market.
Right.
And certainly in the short run world, it's very difficult to adapt some of these better technologies like PUR binding. But it's important for our clients to be able to respond to the marketplace. If you look at a traditional printer, today he might get a call and say, well, I want my books bound, but they need to be done with PUR, and he doesn't have that machine. He's going to lose that job. He's going to lose that customer. So already the market is demanding what he must do. So it's important for vendors like ourselves to have something for them that they can utilize. So it's really important for us, but it's not something we can do overnight. So it's more of a catch-up game than anything else.
How long does it, it takes, new substrate to substrate, it just takes a different amount of time until you get it right? Until the glue sticks and the binding holds, I'm assuming. It doesn't react to it. I've had glue react to paper.
That's correct. That's correct. It's a big combination now. I mean, if you look at the substrate, the coatings, the grain directions, the different kinds of clay contents, the makeup of the paper itself, all go into how well the strength of the binding is. And that's really the issue. It's not that can I bind it, is it will it stay together under the use that is expected of it. Right? If you're making a school yearbook, the kids are going to push it open, they're going to tear it for 3 or 4 days. It's going to really be abused, where a regular book might not get that kind of abuse. So you have to know where the product's going, and you have to adapt both the substrate and the binding technologies to match that. So it's not just coming out with a new machine, it's working with the paper vendors to understand what it's going to take for that product to finish in the right person's hands.
Thank you so much. That was very, very great information, quite frankly. I just learned a lot from you. John, Adfos, you take this, and then I have a question for the manufacturers.
Could you repeat the question?
Oh, Johnny.
It's been a long day, I'm sorry.
Do you need to adapt your equipment to the new substrates and printing technology? Which I'm assuming yes. And if yes, how fast does that need to happen, especially in the inkjet world?
Really, really fast. No, absolutely. We do have to adapt our technology, and that is what makes the Adfos technology very different. Traditionally, within the inkjet world, water-based inkjet world, heat is the primary method, to get rid of that water. And that is one thing that makes the Adfos technology quite different, is we use a near-infrared, so we use a very, very, very short wave of light. And so our web temperatures, it's still using heat, but it's about 40% cooler. So you're not taking the water out of the paper, you're taking the water out that was laid down by the inkjet or the other methods. So we do have to adapt our technology, and again, whether it might be different power emitters, depending on what you're looking at. So our emitters are very quick to change in and out, so we can adapt our technology directly for the specific application. Whether I'm not just talking about turning up the power or turning down the power. I'm talking about actually using different types of emitters based on application, and we can change those very, very quickly.
Thanks so much. So this question's for the manufacturers and the paper company. Oh, someone's texting me. Okay, how are your customers generating revenue with the use of new, fun, and funky substrates? And where is this substrate trend heading? Let's start with GPA.
So great question. So a lot of different things. Let's maybe look at some case examples. We're looking at synthetics right now. That's a great area that's really growing strongly right now, and so it's not just that it's replacing an old technology, and that old technology is laminated paper. The objective is to get a weatherproof, waterproof, durable product in minutes and not seconds, and that's, I think, the value, right? So the thing of it is that you are getting rid of that laminated paper with a synthetic, because it delivers that in seconds and not days. And so if you look at the menu market in America, if you go into any of the national retailers, national stores, national restaurants, you're going to see, by and large, that a lot of them have gone over to the synthetic menus. And that's because not only does it deliver that speed, but let's face it, in America today, you're looking at a lot of versioning. You're looking at different menus with the same brand. Take a national chain, and they have different requirements for their file. It's not only a different tax structure, different state tax, but they also have different price points, right? That's going to help in getting maximum profit. And because they're doing file management like crazy, and for some of these national restaurants, you're looking at literally 50 and 60 and 70 different menus for the same restaurant, and they're starting to attune the offering in different parts of the country because the tastes in the Northeast are going to be different from Chicago. So all this to say, synthetics are growing like crazy. So that's one area. Maybe part two before I pass it down the line. We're seeing a lot of really interesting things in, say, the paper side, like photo. We're seeing some aesthetics right now in the photo market that are just, and you probably can't pick it up on the camera, but you're seeing some very different aesthetics delivered in the paper. This one has like a swirl pearl effect and different colors and herringbone and lizard patterns and all these kinds of things. So it's not only fun, but we're now starting to push the envelope of what was conceived as regular paper for an old market like wedding or photo, and we're, through the substrate, introducing different effects that then are working in concert with the print technologies that's doing some really interesting stuff. In my books and GPA's books, I think we're on the cusp of seeing some really interesting things on substrates that are going to be not only fun, but more importantly, very profitable.
Thank you. Xerox.
Yeah, absolutely. The profitability is a big piece. When I talk to customers and we look at running some of those higher end applications that Craig just mentioned, and he mentioned a menu, this has become so popular. We have a number of pre-scored menus that are already die cut to a typical menu size, so customers can simply load this in the tray. The templates are available to them for free. They drop the artwork in. You hit the green button, as I like to say, and you're making menus that go off to a customer. High value added piece. But a printer can do what you do best. You have to print, right? You know, and not all of us want to go off and learn how to do post-processing if we're only going to be doing a few of these, and then we're providing many other marketing materials. One of my favorites, and I brought this one because it's such a powerful piece when you look at it. This is something that was done for a higher education, a university. And when you look at that, what you see is essentially 3 pieces on one sheet of paper. You have a welcome letter, which just about anyone can do. You have a synthetic duplexable ID card that a lot of people probably would have to outsource. And then you have here a synthetic reverse printed parking pass. So that's your automobile parking pass. And the power here is, of course, I hold 8.5, 11 because any larger samples I tend to drop them up here. But most customers are going to run this 2 up. So in one image, you have 6 pieces. You have 2 welcome letters, 2 outsourced ID cards, 2 outsourced parking passes. And now I don't have to worry about mail merge and getting the right people to the right passes and so on, because this is one click on the equipment. And this is becoming a much more productive way of doing things. And profitability being the first piece. The second one that I'm seeing is this term that keeps popping up of marketing service provider. More and more people are telling me they want to become a marketing service provider. And I always ask, well, what do you sell? And I'm print. You know, right, print is the product, but being a market service provider means having the ability to come in and talk about all of these different products and having the ability to have one printer who can produce them.
Thanks so much. Let's go down to RMGT and then we'll come back to Cam.
It is a much, you know, these substrates can make it much more profitable, but they can also make it a very big challenge or very, very expensive. It's fun if it works how it's supposed to work. If you can't get the ink to dry, or again to get it to go through the finishing or deliver the job, it can be very costly. When your sheet of paper is not 5 cents, it's $1.15. There's a lot more risk for the printer. So with the right technology, we're able to take that, cure it, make it easy, keep it fun, and have the customer want to do it again and go to the next step. I completely agree with the synthetics. We're seeing more and more of our customers wanting to do it. It's exciting, it's fun, it prints phenomenally. I agree.
Thank you. Canon, Solutions America.
So we operate in a wide variety of markets, both with sheet-fed inkjet and also continuous feed inkjet. So we service a lot of different markets. The one thing that's common, of course, is paper. And what we find is paper opens markets. Take a product like our Color Stream. It's the most popular continuous feed product on the market. And it was known really began in the transactional world. And because new substrates have been brought to market by our paper partners, it's enabled people who are doing direct marketing pieces, commercial pieces, quite an array of different print end uses. When that paper becomes available, it then becomes relevant for them to move in and purchase this equipment and be very successful with it. New book papers come out. That new book paper then enables someone who's been producing everything either sheet fed or toner to move into the inkjet world and be highly successful with a technology like ColorStream. On the cut sheet side, or the sheet fed inkjet side, it's the same thing. As new papers become available, new markets get interested. At this show alone, we can see book printers, commercial printers coming in. And the reason they're doing it is the substrates that they sell and they normally print on are now available for inkjet. So we see, new papers and exciting papers, things that have texture and feel to them that are more marketing applicable, are bringing more and more users to the inkjet side of the industry. So we like the variety.
Thank you. So I have one more question, then we have a question from home, and then we'll wrap it up. And I'll start with Kent Fastbind at the end, and we'll just come down. What is try to give everybody the value proposition of working with you in regard to succeeding with substrates, since that's the topic at hand here.
Well, it comes as part of the standard business we have to work with them. Everything is about paper in our world, everyone here, of course, and certainly when you're making books. Of course, most of the clients we work with are making hardcover books, so we have the added issue of the materials we use to make the covers, which is completely different than the pages used for the book. And then there's different kinds of books. You have photo books and traditional books. So having the substrate knowledge, or having access to people with knowledge to understand where to go and how to ask the right people for the kinds of papers that you need to use or the clients want to use. So what I bring to the table is I can consolidate a lot of this information, be a source for them to come and say, hey, I found this new stock, what kind of binder should I get for it, or will it bind with this, or can you help me find out if it's a good stock to use. I love printing with it, but I need to make a product out of it. So I try to be as knowledgeable as possible, and my organization makes sure that our clients know that if we don't know, we have these experts to ask. We can do the testing for them, because it is an exciting world when they can try these new stocks and try these new finishes and make a better product. But we have to make a successful finish for them, or else it doesn't work. So that's what our job is. That's what our role is.
Thank you so much, RMGT.
RMGT has 2 demo centers in North America. We encourage customers to test their substrates, try things out. We work with a variety of vendors, whether it's the ink vendor, what type of curing, drying we're putting on this particular press to meet that end goal. So we have a huge resource that we like to offer to our customers to try it out. Come play with it. Come play with us. Have some fun.
You are fun. Thank you for joining us, Johnny P. Adfos.
So the value that we bring, I guess the best thing is to give you a couple of examples. We have had a customer in Europe. They invested several $1 million in an inkjet press. Their end customer wanted to image on a very high gloss substrate. So they started the job, and they could run the job, but they could only run the press at about 30% of the rated press speed. Well, guess what? If you're expecting to run a job at 400 feet a minute and you're running it at 100 feet a minute, guess what? There went all your profit. You've just lost. So we were able to retrofit their inkjet press with our inkjet technology, that then they were able to literally run the press at 100% of the rated speed. We had another customer that they were looking, they did a lot of commodity work, and they were really looking to use a lower cost paper, and because of the drying technology that was on the inkjet press, it just looked terrible. They were using some inexpensive papers, but by using our drying technology, they were able to use a paper that was about $200 per ton less than the paper that they were having to run on their inkjet press before. So again, it's providing the value to our customers so that they can run a profitable business.
Thanks so much. GPA.
So the value of GPA is in our name. We're GPA Specialty Substrate Solutions. And that's who we are. So the value, I believe, in what GPA brings to market is really threefold. So I think it's that printer peace of mind is what we would start off with, right? I think it's also the fact that we have variety, specialty substrates. And I think at the end, most importantly, with that focus, there's the profitability. So specialty substrate solutions, I mean, it's what we are. It's in our DNA, to coin that phrase. I would respectfully say, you're not going to find anyone who's got a broader range from synthetics to self-adhesive to specially fine to digital packaging. That's what we do. But it's not just having that available, and we touched on this earlier. It's the value of having the printer peace of mind. It's not just because we say it works, it's because we work very closely with the OEMs. So when we say we're going to achieve uptime, we're working in concert with the OEMs so that we can achieve that, because nobody needs downtime. Everybody's fighting for uptime. We're in a lethal market. So printer peace of mind. And ultimately, between that efficiency with the uptime and these great and innovative substrate solutions, we're ultimately looking at the most profitable part of the market today. Some of the comments were made earlier, and it's very true. We're all in print, so it's very competitive, and there's a focus on taking cost out. Our focus is how can we grow and grow profitably, and these specialty substrates. We touched on some of the synthetics and the wetting market, and all of those things are high value, high margin products that are growing. And we like that part of the market. So if that's of interest to the community out there, I would respectfully say that's where GPA can help you out.
Thanks so
That's
much.
GPA.
So we have 5 minutes left, so let's try to move it a little.
Certainly. So I'm part of a rather unique relationship with Domtar and with Xerox. We have Xerox brand media that we engineer in conjunction, and I spoke a little bit before about how that enables me as a paper engineer to understand exactly how we need to manufacture that product. The end result of that I spoke of before as well, the recommended media list. What that essentially means is we provide customers with a ready-to-go list. If you're bringing in Xerox equipment, you have hundreds and hundreds of stocked items that are ready for you to run. They're guaranteed and proven because we engineered them for the device. The idea being, if you would like to take on some of these high-profit applications, you would like to position yourself differently with a customer, you can have the confidence to show them something like this, even if you've never run that before, because it's guaranteed to run on the device. And I think that confidence really changes the way that we interface with our customers.
Thanks so much. And Canon, and then they're going to literally shut the lights off on us.
Okay. Well, in this short time, talking about the value of Canon, probably the biggest thing is we're an extremely deep organization. So whether you're printing on toner or inkjet, sheet fed or roll fed, pretty much at any speed for almost every application, we have a product that will fit your niche and allow you to be very successful. And more than that, we have a very deep resource pool of people that can answer your questions. And if we can't answer your questions and help you be successful, then our partners are there, that we bring them to the party. So we really bring a very large package from a very deep organization to allow our customers to be very successful, whether it's in inkjet or in toner printing.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a great panel. Paper is so topical. You've provided a lot of great information. People can go to Print Media Center, Graph Expo 16, printmediacenter.com. All of the Alliance members have pages there with all the information how to get in touch with them. And I want to remind everybody at home and everybody at the show that tomorrow is the 5th National Girls Who Print Day, even though they're shutting off the lights, so make sure you come hang out with us. We have a lunch. Thank you, everybody.
And the exhibit hall is closed. Please make your way to the exit.
You don't need to go home, but you can't stay here.
From 5:37. Shuttle buses depart this building from 5:15.